Okay, step 5, the final step of improving your photos. This is all about reducing the amount of noise in your picture and adjusting the sharpness. Step 4, reducing blemishes, and step 5, noise and sharpen. You can kind of do those in either order, but I do want to do both after I've adjusted the cropping, the dark and light, and the color balance. So take a look at this picture. A lot of it is in shadow, and shadow is where you're going to get problems with noise with a digital camera. Your camera will try and cope with the fact that there's not enough light for it to do its job. It can do quite a good job, especially these days, but it can't work miracles, and sometimes you'll get something called digital noise creeping into your photos. I will zoom in on this photograph. Let's make it 1:1. You're getting a grainy effect to the picture. Now, mainly with digital photographs, there are two kinds of noise you need to worry about, and I've separated them out in this picture into two separate files. This file has a problem with luminance noise, and you can see I kind of get this kind of salt and pepper effect. The other kind is color noise. Look, I will zoom in a little bit more for this. I'm zooming right in, and if you take a look at the cheek of this boy, you can see all these little random dots of what looks like little blobs of color. That is color noise. There are reasons for that. I explain all that on the 4-hour course. Until I make my various different adjustments to the dark and light and the color balance, I won't know how much of a problem I've got. This is why you deal with noise problems after you've sorted out definitely the dark and light. And the next thing, I need to come to my filter menu, down to where it says noise, and reduce noise. I get a dialog box like this, which I can move around. I want to find the focal point of the area, and that, as before, is going to be the face. The face is always the focal point of a picture. And I think I'll zoom in on this because there's something I want to show you. I have found the preview sometimes not to work too well. Instead, if I have my little hand icon and I can click and drag around, whenever I hold my mouse down and I drag around, the effect blinks off because it's going to be too processor intensive to show the effect whilst I'm dragging around. So what that means is, if I just say the strength, you can see how that picture has got a little bit more blurry. It's trying to tackle the luminance noise here. If I click and hold, that's my before. If I let go again, that's what my picture is going to look like when the effect is applied. This is a useful way to preview what you're doing. And as you can see, the reducing noise has the effect of blurring your picture slightly. Now look at this, reduce color noise. Let's take a look at this. Let's bring it up a little bit. That is definitely helping. Now, hand in hand with reducing noise is the final part where you sharpen an image. Reducing noise kind of blurred my picture a little bit, and sharpen is going to sharpen the image. Sometimes the two don't sit very nicely together. This is where you have to use your judgment. And I'll show you what I mean by this. If I'm going to do sharpen, again, you really should be looking at this at 100%. And as before, I'm going to duplicate my layer, and I'll call this sharpen as my insurance in case I want to come back to this picture at a later date. So for this, you come to enhance, adjust sharpness. Okay, so come to here, it says amount and radius. Well, the amount, generally speaking, you can keep that around anywhere between 80 and 120% will probably give you a decent effect. The one you need to think about more is this one, the radius. How far the effect goes. Now, any sharpening effect in any image editing program all basically does the same thing. It finds an edge on your picture between, say, dark and light. There's one there. There might be one around here where you get that white paint meeting the silver paint. Or wherever it finds an edge, it increases just the contrast just along that edge. If one side of that border is slightly darker, it will make the pixels just on that border even darker, and it will make anything on the lighter part of the border a little bit lighter. I'll try and show you what I mean. Let's crank up the amount to some really large amount so you get a very clear idea of what we're doing. And I will start to increase the radius. Okay, that's an awful effect, but I'm just trying to show you what it's doing. On that slightly darker area, just along that border, things have got darker. On the lighter area, things have got lighter. Look, if I click and hold, that's before, that's after. I'm going to take this down a bit. I'm going to take the radius way down, somewhere between 1.2 and 1.3. I'm going to take the amount down. It would look terrible if it's too strong. Now, if I click on OK, and then if I come to my sharpen layer and make it invisible just for a second, the original was slightly more blurry. The sharpened image has just that little bit more of local contrast on the edges, which gives the appearance of the picture being sharper. So there you have it, 5 steps